Greetings, welcome back. This is the part 3 of the N1IR Technician Class License. It's Control. So, third part is Control. Any amateur radio station is never permitted to transmit without a control operator. That's mainly because of a couple things. One, of course, is safety. You want to be able to shut off your transmitter in case it does something funny. So you gotta have someone there to actually shut down the station. Only a person for whom an amateur operator primary license grant appears in the FCC database, or who is authorized for an alien reciprocal operator, may be designated to be the control operator for an amateur station. Basically means that if you're in the FCC database, or if you're visiting from a country that's in a reciprocal license, you got to be the control operator for your station. Any amateur whose license privileges allows them to transmit on a satellite uplink frequency may be the control operator as the station communication through an amateur satellite or space station. So for example, if you're a technician and the uplink frequency is in a technician band and the downlink frequency is in, let's say, a extra band, you're okay because your uplink frequency you're transmitting to the amateur satellite is on your set of privileges. So we had a few satellites that are like that. The station licensee must designate the station control operator. The control operator and the station licensee are equally responsible for the proper operation of the amateur station. The class of operator license held by the control operator determines the transmitting privileges of the amateur station. So for example, if I'm a technician and I go over to my buddy's house and he is an extra, I can go on his radio, be the control operator, and use the extra privileges as long as I identify with his call sign and he's sitting there next to me. We frequently do this in field day. As long as we have an extra operator, extra licensed operator next to us, we can operate in the extra band. But he physically has to be there. Under normal circumstances, a technician class licensee at no time may be the control operator of a station operating an exclusive extra class operator segment of the amateur bands. So if you're a technician, you got to stay on your privileges. The privileges are there for separation, and the extra class sections get really close to the CW bands, and it's meant there as a little bit of a buffer for inexperienced technicians. The location at which the control operator function is performed is the amateur control point. Local control is the type of control being used when the control operator is at the control point. So when you're physically at the radio, that is the control point. Automatic control is the type of control when operating the APRS network digipeaters. So APRS is the automatic packet reporting system. So a commercial application of the APRS would be the UPS systems. They can track the trucks. We have something very similar. We were actually the first to pioneer the automatic positioning and reporting system. So you'll see it commercially at the UPS or FedEx trucks being used. But we have a very similar system that we can actually text back and forth between each other and find each other's location fairly easy. Repeater operation is an example of automatic control. So you have a repeater on top of a hill or a high point, and there's no one at the repeater site. It's under full automatic control. Operating stations over the internet is an example of remote control as defined in Part 97. So you can operate a station over the internet, such as Echolink, IRLP, and there's a bunch of other programs as well. That is an example of remote control. Unless a document to the contrary is the station records, the FCC presumes that the station licensee is the control operator of the amateur station. When communication is incidental to classroom instruction at an educational institution, the control operator of an amateur station may receive compensation for operating the station. Under normal circumstances, you are not to be paid for operating your amateur station. The only exception to this is if you happen to be a teacher in a classroom. I myself, I am a teacher. I teach at a Votech, and I do have amateur radio gear in my classroom. And before this rule was enacted, we could not operate amateur gear during school hours. We had to do it after school hours, like a club or something like that. And so this rule eliminated that and got ham radios into the school and into the classrooms, which is a good thing. Gets exposure to a lot of the younger generation. The control operator of the originating station is accountable should the repeater inadvertently retransmit communication that violates the FCC rules. So the repeater and a repeater trustee is not fully responsible for repeating inadvertent retransmit communications that violate the rules. So it's not the repeater's fault. It's actually the control operator operating the repeater. That's whose fault it is if they violate the FCC rules. All right, this is a short one. So next we're going to go into the control Q&A section, and that's in the next video coming up.